Hi, good morning, everybody here. My name is Satyabrat Jaiswal, and I work with sound medicine to help people suffering from cancer and any kind of physiological or psychological health issues. So I'm going to talk about it, how it can help people suffering from this life-threatening disease.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. This is my third year with Health 2.0 conference. So this is just like second family to me. And my work in cancer research has a history, or should I say story, both professionally and personally. So let me go back a little bit in time. When I got my big job, right before even I finished my college, it was in Methodist Oncology Institute in research. And it was, as we all know, Texas Medical Center is one of the top in America, and Methodist has a very good reputation for cancer healing um, and cancer research. So I got a job in Methodist, and my responsibility included looking at all the data of all the clinical trials and analyzing the data and making it ready to go into manuscripts so that we can get the manuscripts accepted in PubMed, NIH, and all of these big journals. So I got really good insight into what treatments are there, what combination drugs we are using, what chemo, radiation, or non-invasive, and is it this treatment going before or after, and just seeing the whole patient data. And sorry to say, it was not really good because most of the patients were not making it, or they would walk in healthy and then they would lose weight and look like skeletons, and sooner or later they were just dying. Then I was working for UT Oncology, same department, but we moved to UT Oncology, and it was pretty much the same. It didn't align with my values because I just didn't understand what right do we have as a medical field to charge patients millions of dollars that their family has to pay after their death, because often they don't make it. And yet, they're not healing, but we continue the treatment. We're not looking at ourselves. It didn't align with me. It just something seemed really wrong. And so I said I need to quit this job. I just was done with it. My body gave me signals that you should quit the job. And luck would have it in a way, 1 year later, I got cancer. So I had ovarian cancer. And I kind of like knew it was coming because of my intuition. But when I had ovarian cancer, because I was lucky, I'm from India, and because I was raised by my beloved grandparents who believed in holistic health, in home cooked meals, vegetarian food, Indian spices, and herbs, I was very lucky to have this knowledge. And I had gone so far from the girl that my grandma had raised me that I knew that I was going to have a disease in my body. And when cancer came, it was one of the biggest blessings in my life because it was a reminder I have to go back to the girl that my grandma raised and the love I got the first 10 years of my life. Cancer, my dear friends, is not because you forgot to eat your greens or blueberries, or even because you chose a conventional treatment. It is much more deeper than that. It is a serious issue. It is because something has triggered your genes to go in a wrong direction in a haywire way. And the stress, the trauma that you're carrying is becoming too much for your body. And now it is pushing to heal itself. And when my ovarian cancer came, and this is very open, I've talked in my last year's panel and before to raise awareness. There are a lot of wonderful women over here. I had 3 years of bleeding nonstop. And yes, my dear friends, I was working, I was taking care of my dogs, I had no support in my life, doing everything, and I was bleeding all the time. But once you make sense of things spiritually, you kind of realize that there's a reason for it. And I knew my body is pushing through the trauma. And I let it go on until it was time to take the tumor out. And I just went for the surgery. So they asked me, do you want to do chemo or radiation? And I looked back in my work in cancer research and I said, no. And the doctor was like, well, you will live for 5 years. You will die pretty soon. You should do radiation. You should do chemo. You won't have your periods. I said, okay, fine. Good for me because I'm a very rebellious child. I said, we will see. I just went back and never went back to the clinic. Never. So I was told by two doctors who talked to me like a robot. They didn't even look at my face, didn't look at my eyes, didn't make no connections with me. But they were like, well, you will live for 5 years or you will die and you will not have periods for 8 months. Guess what, guys? I went back to what my grandma had taught me: Indian, Ayurvedic style cooking with spices, ginger, garlic, herbs, vegetarian plant based diet, high vibration food, home cooked, pure vibrations. I ate it, and honest to God, 2 months later, I got my periods. And I say this because so many women are struggling, and so many men in cancer research are told the wrong lies. This won't happen for you. This won't happen. Who gave them the right to say this to you? You know? So I had my body back in balance within 2 months, and today, well, not today, in May, I'll be 12 years cancer free, all because of myself. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't go to doctors. Everybody who knows me and all of this wonderful conference, like my friend here, knows I don't go to doctors at all. And this is how I launched my business. I said I have to teach people like you guys who are paying. You work hard, and like she just mentioned, we work hard to chase some dream, but then we fall sick. We forget our own self. And that happened with me as well. And then we pay a huge price to the doctors and corporations for drugging us. So it is like vicious cycle. And I said, okay, I have to teach people something about how I have healed myself. So I launched YouTube channel teaching about my recipes so anyone can cook side by side. And then it launched a newsletter so it can reach global readers. It goes with holistic health articles and recipes. Then I thought, what else has helped me in my cancer journey? I oh, well, it is spirituality, mindfulness, managing my stress levels. So then I launched a spiritual section to help cancer survivors or people who just want to be healthy. And then I launched a section on trauma on my website, because until you heal your trauma, that disease is going to come back. So if you want to heal for once and for all, you need to heal at the root level, the pain and suffering that you have suffered. Okay. If you have a disease in your body, it is there to heal you, not to kill you, unlike what the doctors tell you. It is there as a healing friend. You understand the emotional and psychological reasons for it, you understand the spiritual reasons for it. Once you deal with that, you have healed permanently. So my organization provides basically a holistic healing model to people who want to heal, whether it's inflammation, hormones, diabetes, thyroid issues, or cancer. And this is where I say the gap is bridged by my organization, the garden recipe, because we are not taking one side and killing the immune system, and neither are we saying just eat this. We are providing you healing the way it should have always been from the very beginning for all of us. But we were too controlled by the governments, too suppressed by Monsanto, too suppressed to even speak the truth in our own society, by our own families or loved ones sometimes. So this is why my organization focuses on bridging the gap so everybody has all the tools and understanding of what healing requires. It requires looking within, inner awareness, and saying, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to manage my stress levels like this, my lifestyle like this, and I'm going to deal with my trauma. And that's what you deserve to heal from cancer. So that's what I do. All right. That's it. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
They mic'd me up, but I decided to come to the podium anyway. It's a pleasure to speak to you all today. I would have definitely looked in your eyes and talked to you when I saw you. I'm an OBGYN doctor,
Oh, great.
and I understand your journey, and I'm so impressed that you were able to find the healing in the way that you did.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I think more people should try alternative ways to see things. I'm going to tell you my journey about how I found an alternative way in more of a prevention cancer model, but maybe therapeutics in the future. So I'm an OBGYN who trained in allopathic medicine in the United States. I went and moved to California from the East Coast, and I started working after I trained at Kaiser Permanente, which is basically a not-for-profit health. And at the time I started, people didn't really think much of Kaiser. You know, you weren't in business to be medicine. And I said, I don't want to mix business with medicine. If I'm going to do business, I'm going to do business in my creative side. So I was always an inventor since I was a young man. And I kept inventing while I was practicing. And I kind of merged the two together. I was a professor, and I am still at the University of California, training other doctors to see things the way I do and treat things the way I do. And I got very interested in cervical cancer first because cervical cancer is something that can be treated and cured before it becomes invasive. And I said, if I can work people up and find the way to find them before they get cancer, then I can save lives. I'm going to dedicate my research life to this because it's like I can see the cervix when I examine it. I can take care of it. It's not inside the body. You unfortunately had something that was taking time to develop, that you were sick for a couple of years. Yeah, so I said, well, I can do it. But when I started training and I started getting into it, I realized it was very invasive. People were getting using sharp tools, no anesthesia, curettes with pretty much a lot of pain. They'd say, just, it's only going to be 20 seconds or a minute. You can, hold your breath, count to 10. And it was like, no, I think that maybe I could develop something that was a little more compassionate. So I got into this thing called compassionate colposcopy, which is compassion with an invasive procedure. It's if you talk to people who've had the procedure, they don't speak highly of it, but they have their lives saved. They get their pap smears. Pap smears are not really primary prevention. Primary prevention is a vaccine or a lifestyle change or what you're doing. If you would have been in that lifestyle in the beginning, maybe the epigenetics of making cancer develop wouldn't have happened. Stress, diet, exercise, all the things, those are all important. But once you have the precursors to cancer and you can find it at the early stage, you can make a difference. But what's the barrier? I'm looking at men in the room, but I'm also looking at women in the room. And, what's the difference? The difference is that patients fear. Everybody fears getting cancer, but patients fear the pain, the trauma, the emotional ups and downs of being diagnosed with it. And if we could take some of that fear away, it would be great. There's a movement in the United States to do self-HPV testing for cervical cancer now, where you don't have to go and be exposed to a gynecologist or a family doc and have this procedure done where they examine your lower genital area so now they have self-HPV. So, okay, you have a positive test. Now what? Now you have to go and get a longer procedure with an invasive technology. I just wrote an editorial that didn't get accepted by my peers. I basically exposed that. I said, this is okay, we've got the first thing settled. Now we got to work on the second thing. So my invention is actually converting these specialized brushes that can take biopsies from the body. And once I have found out they work very well for the cervix through really disciplined research, and it's all out there. My company's name is Histologics LLC. It's been around for a decade. There've been over 2 million cases in the United States done. It's sort of like a well-kept secret kind of. Patients don't, not all doctors and nurses know about it yet. But there's going to be some interesting news from the National Institutes of Health that took it all over the world. Because in the world where cervical cancer is really an epidemic and a problem, you need to have access, you need to get the patient, you need to have time zero, you need to know it's wrong, and you need to treat them right on the spot. Because they may have walked in from a village. There's a lot of sub-Saharan Africa, there's a lot of research being done there, South Africa, India, all over the world with this technology now, because it's pretty quick. And they're using AI with these cameras that are doing the evaluation. They're trying to make it more modern, and I am trying to make it more compassionate. And I've succeeded, and I'm so grateful. I even get to use it in my own practice because it's in my organization now. So there's primary prevention where you're doing vaccines and health. I think there's a lot of that here. There's been a lot of, I've been coming to a lot of the sessions about mental health, and I'm very attuned to mental health. I have people who suffer from it in my family. And then there's the secondary prevention, which it's your responsibility. Screened, get follow-up if you're positive, get diagnosed right, don't be afraid of it, come back. If you have a bad experience, you miss appointments. You get scared. You run away. There's fight or flight. And you want to fight this. You don't want to run away from it. And then tertiary prevention is what you had. You're extremely lucky and extremely fortunate and smart that you said, I want something that's life-bringing. I don't want to change my lifestyle. I want the most minimally invasive, least invasive thing that's going to help me cure my cancer, right? And the same, that I believe the same. I find the most minimally invasive way to take care of you. I'm not in the treatment side of it yet, but we're doing research to see if this frictional brush can remove these diseased areas of the cervix, can remove wound necrotic tissue and get to the infection under the surface that's part of the reason wounds don't heal. We're in two specialties, women's health and advanced wound care. And I even made a brush that fits on a nurse or a doctor's finger so they can touch a patient and say, it's going to be okay. And by the way, I'm debriding your wound. You don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm actually cleaning your wound while I'm talking to you. The whole idea of the personal, caring with a personal touch, compassion, that's been the driver for my success in my career. In my practice, I've delivered several thousand babies probably. Um, and, I chose it because it's a very happy profession most of the time. But when I get patients with symptoms like what you had, I have to switch gears and I have to think about what it's like for people who are going through cancer workups. So with that, I'm going to keep my talk short because I know you wanted to speak a little more. You just introduced yourself and you want to speak a little more. And we're going to have questions, I think, at the end. And I'm keeping it a little short because we were running behind in time. But this technology, this fabric is called Kylon, Kylon. I'll actually tell you a funny story as I leave. So it's made of nylon, kind of looks a little like Velcro. It actually turns into a little curette when you press it in the body, and it cuts. And when you twist it, it takes a biopsy, but you don't really feel it that much. But I named it and I trademarked it. And I didn't think it's Kylon. And because it's nylon, I said, I like Kylon. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I looked at it and I go, that's my last name. My last name is Lonky. How did I? There's a lot of things that go on in your brain that you don't realize till you've done it. It's totally and utterly natural. And I think it's natural to look at a patient and the patient care experience. The value of healthcare, the value of healthcare is the quality of care you get. It has to be really good. Everybody goes to a clinical setting and they say, well, they know what they're doing. They're using the best evidence. They should be thinking that. If they don't, I see somebody shaking their head. I know, you're right. They don't always do that. But quality is assumed. Because I was a director of Kaiser, I can tell you I ran the quality program there. Quality is assumed. Access is driven. Get the care you need when you need it. But service is always monitored. You always get those surveys. It's always monitored. It's one of the most important things that drives healthcare is the patient care experience. How easy it is to get into the clinic. How easy it is for people to actually um, deliver the care in a very effective way, efficient, precise, not harming you while they're treating you, right? Yeah, and over, that's the denominator, over the cost to deliver that care. That's value-based care. You hear a lot about it in the United States now. We've been doing it as long as I've been at Southern California Kaiser Permanente Medical Group. That's what drove us because we took the capitated payment of the patient first, and then we delivered the care. And we didn't ration it because if you got sick, it cost us a lot more than if you stayed well. So it was about wellness, it was about preventative health care. But with that, I'm going to stop and I'm going to invite, can you come back and give your talk? All right, thank you.
Thanks for your talks, both of you, and we got good insight. And what we are doing actually, if we are going to treat cancer, I think we need to think beyond the physical body, like maybe our emotional body, mental body. Most of us, concerned about our physical body most of the time, and we do take care of that. And we ignore our mental and emotional body most of the time. If you have anger in your everyday life, and somehow, we just keep suppressing it, and maybe several other issues, emotional disturbances, and many other things. So what we believe that these all are kind of toxic energies, like maybe anger, maybe emotional disturbances, and many other things happening in a negative way that might leads to a disease, life-threatening diseases, even cancer. So, what we store these toxic energies within us for a longer period of time, and if we want to eliminate it, there is nothing, something, physical form or physical medicine, can help us. So sound is a kind of energy, and if we use specific frequencies, specific vibrations, so it can work at that level in a very effective manner to detox whatever toxins accumulated in energy form within us. So based on this principle, we use sound to relax someone, to take them to a kind of deep meditative state, because there are certain sound frequencies when it goes to our brain, it can control our brain waves, can take us to a deep relaxed meditative state. And that's the science of meditation. Actually, when we reach that state, our inner healing mechanism is supported, and probably that is one of the best doctor. So when we support that inner healing mechanism with the help of sound vibration, that can take anyone into a very, very deep, relaxed, meditative state just in few minutes. So that helps them, activating inner healing mechanism. And apart from that, there are several frequencies and vibration that works in a very effective manner to different organs in the body. So if we use in a precise way, in a clinical manner, we see lots of patients, cancer patients who are going for treatments, chemotherapy, and maybe taking other therapies, radiation and all. They have very less side effects, and the recovery is also very fast. In some cases, we have seen people, they just go with this, and apart from that, proper diet plan and body detox program. So even these things, even they are not taking any western medicine or allopathic medicine, it's very helpful in their cases. So in short, this is what I can talk about. Now if you have any specific questions or something, we can of course go in detail about it. Yes. Yeah, so frequency, actually this is ancient Vedic healing system working on the chakras. So, we have seven major energy centers in the body, and that corresponds to, different endocrine glands and physical organs. So, based on that healing principle, we apply specific frequencies and specific notes, like, there are seven musical notes and specific frequencies. So, basically, we use the second octave. There are, in music, if you know, there are octaves, and we use the second octave frequencies that works in a very effective way. Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So, what I think you're saying is that cancer can't live in a high vibrational frequency in the body. So, cancer is created by low vibrations or stuck energy or toxic energy.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Can you speak more on that?
Yeah, sure. Like suppose if we are eating healthy food, it's good for our body. If we are regularly taking, unhealthy food, processed food, it's not good for us. Similarly, there are sound vibrations that is maybe very healing vibrations, very good for our body. So if we take that vibration within us, so it can change the energy level within us and can very effectively help to detox whatever negative energy we are holding within us. That's what we see. Lots of people, maybe they have in general maybe anger, maybe they are very frustrated, and just after taking few session they feel very peaceful, they feel very calm. So that what happens, whatever negativity they are holding, actually sound help, but it should be a very kind of healing vibrations, and for that we use specific instruments, like if you've heard about singing bowls and gong bells.
So those frequencies that using the sound therapies are raising the level of consciousness or the vibrational frequency,
Yeah.
right? And this is according to David, can't remember, anyway, the map of consciousness, the clinically proven map of consciousness. If you bring them to a peaceful state,
Yes.
that's a very high vibrational frequency.
Right,
And
right, you are right, it's the same principle actually.
yeah, Hawkins, David Hawkins. Um, Also, Einstein told us that you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness in which it was created. So that's what you're actually speaking to.
Yeah, this is very much related to this.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah.
I have a question to Ms.
Yes.
Mehta Saxena.
Yeah.
The thing is that you had an uterine cancer, you removed the tumor, and then you started your diet and all these things. So it was an active stage, you need to remove it, and you refused the chemotherapy. So what would have been the case? Yeah? Yeah. How? Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Yeah. The question is, you got a cancer, you removed the tumor, and then you refused the chemotherapy, and then you tried your way, that is diet. So what would have been the case if at the stage of tumor removal, can you refuse the active cancer where it's tumor and you try your therapy? Have you ever tried this? Or what would have been the result if you have refused the surgery also? And will it be effective? Your way of living, diet, and all these things in those cases when they are diagnosed. Number one. Number two is that before you get tumor, is there an early signs that you may not get the tumor with the diet, exercise, all these things? So I would like to concentrate on my first question first. Thank you.
So let me repeat your question just so I know I've got it clearly because this live is I could not hear properly even despite the mic. So your question is, even though I had the surgery to remove the tumor and then I followed my diet and now I'm cancer free for 12 years. So is it like, is the diet effective and what includes in the diet that has kept me cancer free? You can come right here. That'll be helpful because it's very far. I don't know. It's hard to hear. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I refused it. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So you mean to say if I did not have the surgery, would it be the same effect had I done everything else, right? Well, so let me go back to how I think and what was I've always been coming from India and being raised by my grandparents and having the influence of my grandma and my aunt who were very spiritual women, highly intuitive. So I always had that spiritual awakening, not religious, spiritual awakening. And for me, being so intuitive from the very young age, I was able to understand why it is happening to me. How come this cancer or this bleeding or metamorphosis did not happen to any of my cousins before me or after me on either side of the family? I'm the only one who got it. And I also have known very well, having lived my life, of course, from the young age, the struggles that I've gone through and the lack of support that I've had to go through because I was raised by the most wonderful grandparents and aunts and uncle for the first 10 years of my life. And from 7 days old to the first 10 years. Then after 10 years, I lived with my parents. We moved out of India to a very different country in Saudi Arabia and Jeddah. And I, there's no common ground between me and my parents. So I had severe trauma because in my grandparents' home, I got a lot of love. And when you take a child from such a wonderful, loving environment where the child is blossoming to complete opposite, it is serious trauma. I used to cry and cry and cry and cry. Nobody did anything. It was just very empty. Okay. So I knew, and then that relationship, you know how the wheels are like rubbing against each other, it gets worse, 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 worse. It got worse, 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 worse. So I'm very open about it because this is my passion to talk openly about my life story and to raise awareness. And I knew that was building, continuous. Then it becomes argument. Then you're carrying the weight of somebody's words. Then, I moved out of my parents' house because I could not take it. And then I have done everything on my own since I moved out at 21 years of age. Now, none of my cousins on this side or this side, maternal or paternal, have had that. They've had absolutely amazing homes, stable childhood, full of love, warmth, support, everything. So how come it is me who got cancer? And that too, being an Indian, back in India, we didn't have cancer rates for the last 2 decades. One of the things we did in cancer research was study the patterns of cancer. And India and Japan are two of the countries that have had the lowest or non-existent cancer rates. So how come I get it? So to answer your question, if I had not done the surgery, my thing was let my body do what it needs to do and let me reduce the noise of people. First and foremost, it's going to be your family who's going to try to give you advice. And if you look at the person you're taking advice from, make sure you observe them very well. Because if you take advice from somebody who is living out of their medicine cabinet and can barely walk without breathing, you are going to become the same person. Now, if you take advice from somebody who's fit, healthy, and a living example of health, you will become the same person. Okay? So I was not going to tell anybody in my family that I have bleeding for 2 years. Only two people knew about it at the time. My best friend from childhood and my aunt. Only two people. Nobody else. Because I didn't want any noise giving me advice and I didn't want. I was so I let my body bleed. This was my thinking that let it do what it needs to do. I know my body has strength. God, universe, whatever you believe in it, has given us everything in our body. It's healing mode. Okay. And so I let it bleed. And I told myself, whenever there's time to have surgery or some action is to be taken, and this problem is to, because those 3 years seemed like eternity. I did not know it was going to be when it's going to stop the bleeding, So I was like, well, when will this stop? But I believed my body giving me a sign that it will stop, and this is the action you should take. So my tumor was on this side. It was an ovarian tumor. So my ovarian cyst that had come from traumatic 10 years ago grew, and became ovarian cancer. And it had grown enough where at this point now, my leg was swollen because the tumor was blocking the flow of the fluids. So I had very swollen leg. And at that time, I also had pain in the back. And I knew that stage of 3 years of bleeding, which I call my metamorphosis, because the old blood full of trauma, pain, sadness, anger, resentment, lack of support, lack of love, lack of warmth is leaving. And by God's grace, in 3 years, I never fainted. I was running my life all on my own, working UT Oncology and, taking the shuttle, taking the metro, coming home. I rescue dogs. I had 5 wonderful dogs. I still have dogs. And taking them for walks and just everything. And I never fainted. It was God's miracle. Okay. And I had serious bleeding. Like my managers in UT Oncology knew about it. They were females that I may have to go home if. And for those 3 years, as any woman knows here, I only wore black pants. Going because we had to go take shuttle to go to UT in the medical clinic, in the medical center. And so my managers knew if I have to go home, if it's too much, I will have to go home. It was that open. So when it got blocked, that's when I knew it's time to do something. And I said I have to go to ICU now. At that time, I had called my brother because my biological family was here, like my brother and my mom to go to the surgery. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. So if I did not follow my own intuition, in that case, in my case, I wanted to grow the tumor. That's why I was arriving at. I wanted to grow a tumor and then take it out. Now, if somebody has a tumor and they want to suppress it through diet, is it possible? I do have cancer patients who come to me, and we do offer coaching or holistic programs, especially for women. Right now, it hasn't been to for men, where, for example, one of my clients, she had breast lump that she just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she did not want to do any of the surgery. So I coached her for 1 year exactly using the same holistic modalities, like, for example, black seed oil, massages, because in Ayurvedic clinics in India, where we are treating cancers, we have oil massages, since oil is one of those gifts from nature that can transfer the herbs and the spices directly to the cells, deep into the tissues. So we incorporate all of that. I teach them, okay, this is going to be your oil blend with castor oil, black seed oil. This is going to be a massage on your cancer side. This is going to be a diet. You're going to stay away from dairy and meat-based diet and fish. We don't want any of the low vibration items, okay? And this is how you're going to manage your stress. And so this is a fact where it's also on my website as we talk right now, her testimonial. Her doctor checked her, and her tumor, her lump, breast cancer, what do we call it, did not come back. And it has been, I coached her in 2019, it hasn't come back. So just one example, okay? This is 2026. So it hasn't come back. So it depends on the state of the person, I would say, at the end. Because in my case, I wanted it to grow so it can come out at once, right? I knew how my body functions and how it's healing. Somebody may have a big lump or tumor and they want to incorporate all the modalities, and they may even have some more alternative therapies like hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Sauna is great, lymphatic detox. And I do run 12-week program for all women who are in this situation or who just want to be healthy and want to learn how to clean the lymphatic system. It is the way our body cleans its toxins. So these are all very important. And then I teach them about proper sleep, because sleep is when you heal. That is when your cancer cells are likely to die. Okay. And when we clean our lymphatic system, our normal cells don't have to compete with cancer cells for nutrition, because cancer cells have 10 to 20 times more ability to get nutrition because they have more hormone receptors on their surface than normal cells. So what happens is, it's like, just say somebody has tumor, they have cancer, they have more hormone receptors, they're going to get the nutrition and they want to try. Normal cells cannot get the food. Okay, so now we are having competition within the body. So now somebody has tumor, how do we suppress this and get the normal cells to boost? So then I teach them, okay, for how in India we would have like in Ayurvedic centers, we still have it. We have pure boiled vegetables and detox diet, like khichdi, for example, like just very full of millets and grains and seeds. This is the diet you eat during the time of treatment. And then we do panchakarma, which is 5 stages of detoxification with oils and cleansing of your, anemas and things like that, and lymphatic detox. Then we improve your sleep and stress levels. Then we tell you, okay, this is the supplements you will take to boost your health, and regular natural supplements, minerals, vitamins, electrolytes. So we are giving more power to the normal cells and suppressing the cancer. Big thing. How do you manage your glucose? Because if glucose in a person who has tumor and they are not managing the insulin, that is a disaster. If they don't want to do surgery, that's fine. But how do you suppress the insulin from going to the cancer cells? Because cancer cells will pull it faster than the normal cells. So teaching people in my program that you have to get up after you eat. I don't care if you eat like one bite or you eat a whole meal. Get walking. Okay, get going with the dishes, get walking, walk the dog, walk the cats, whatever you have to do. But for 20 minutes, you cannot sit, because I need your insulin to go into your normal cells. So these things work because I have those testimonials on the website where women with breast cancer have come to me, and these women did not just have breast cancer, because often it comes with symptoms, thyroid issues, skin inflammation, a lot of high cortisol stress, or some traumatic event that triggered it. Could be like divorce, death of a child, death of some loved one, anything. So something like that. So yes, it can be absolutely done. And we can talk more about this, and I'll give you my website. You can check it out. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm done now, right?
Thank you so much, our distinguished panelists. Thank you. Thank you.